On today's show, we discuss why, without reviews in today's world, you will lose. The power of obtaining objective reviews from past customers. Why, according to Forbes, 88% of customers read reviews before buying a product or service. The power of online reputation management. And much, much more.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Thrivetime Show.
Now, 3, 2, 1, here we go!
Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom.
All right, Thrive Nation, welcome back to another exciting edition of the Thrivetime Show on your radio and podcast download. And on today's show, we have the fortune cup. We are blessed with an opportunity to interview the author of the book with the controversial title known as The Salesman Who Doesn't Sell. Brian, how are you?
I'm doing great, guys. How are you?
Well, I'm excited to have you on the show because the title of your book is so intriguing. And before we get into the book, I really want to allow you the opportunity to share with the listeners your background and really what inspired you to write this new book, The Salesman Who Doesn't Sell.
Sure. I've been on the internet, starting internet businesses since 2002. All right. So I was one of the early guys. I started with some e-commerce websites and I grew it. Right. So I remember starting e-commerce websites and I was blown away by how much revenue we were doing. And I thought there wasn't more revenue to be made. Lo and behold, our revenue kept going up and up. Later past that, I started an internet marketing company. So I took on a lot of clients. I got really good at internet marketing. I sold that in 2012. And since then, I've been focusing on my insurance website, True Blue Life Insurance.
True Blue Life Insurance. Check it
Right.
out there. Is it truebluelifeinsurance.com for anybody out there who wants to go check it out?
Yes, exactly.
Now, your book, it could make somebody almost immediately skeptical, and I think that's part of the power of the title. But it says, The Salesman Who Doesn't Sell. Could you share with the listeners about what this book is all about?
You know what? It's a lot about information selling, right? So I love driving people to my website and closing a sale without having to jump on the phone with them, all right? You can build trust and credibility via your website, post reviews, social proof, guide them through what is best for them, the pricing, everything. And to be able to sell them without, going and wasting all your resources. And what's a wonderful thing? It's a wonderful thing when people can go to your website and your business and purchase something while you're sleeping, hence the title.
Talk to me about reviews, because we have a lot of listeners who attend our Thrivetime Show workshops who really just have never gathered reviews before. They're not familiar with the power of reviews and online reputation management. Can you share with us about this?
Absolutely. Look, the first thing I like to do is put a value to reviews. I think people that have businesses, it's hard to measure ROI, right? So when I get a review and I get it on my own website, I value it at $100 a piece. And it's about $25 each additional year because they stay there. If I get a review on Google Business or the Better Business Bureau, I value those at $250 each and maybe $50 each additional year. They are extremely persuasive. I would argue to say that they're the most persuasive buying trigger of anything else. Amazon does it, and it's becoming more and more beneficial to have positive reviews.
I'm going to give the listeners an example and proof of concept of what Brian is saying. Brian, for any of the listeners out there that don't know, I own a haircut chain called the Elephant in the Room Men's Grooming Lounge. I'm involved with a carpet cleaning franchise called OxyFresh. And my partner, who owns Elephant in the Room with me, he also owns OxyFresh. And so right now, if somebody were to do a Google search for the phrase carpet cleaning quotes, we come up top in the world. OxyFresh comes up top in the world, the number one website in the world in organic search engine results, no matter where in the world you're searching from. And Chef, I believe as of right now, We have, I think, 142,000 reviews.
Well, we are like 30 away from 143,000. So like 142,969 Google reviews.
And we have 385 locations out there. So there's a lot of data points. But there's got to be somebody out there that doesn't know how to get reviews from real customers. If somebody out there says, Brian, walk me through, okay, I believe this is valuable. What is the process for me to go get objective reviews from real people? How do I do it?
Number one thing is you got to ask. You got to know the right time to ask. The right time to ask is, after you delivered and they're happy, right? I think a lot of people have a hard time asking for reviews. I get it. I make use of email. All right. So I use ActiveCampaign, which is an email marketing software. And after I finish doing the service, I send them an email. I send an email on the 3rd day, the 7th day, and the 10th day. And the email includes stars. And as soon as they click it, they go to my website, they enter in the stars, their name, and a comment, right? That's the wonderful thing. I highly recommend people get reviews on their own internal site first. If they gave me a 5-star review, I turn it around and send them another email asking them to give me a review on Google or the Better Business Bureau. I include the comment that they included, and I give them a link to the exact page on the review site where they can enter the review. So don't just send them to your Google business page. That's a mistake, I think. You can send them and use the URL that sends them to the Google page that gives them a pop-up right then and there where they can enter the review. Same with Yelp, same with the Better Business Bureau. Make it extremely easy for the customer to do it.
Brian, you said that you value your reviews. You place a value on them, and you mentioned Google Better Business Bureau. Do you know, in your experience, are there platforms that are more valuable than others, or you kind of go for all of them the shotgun approach, or what's kind of your philosophy on that?
I chose Google and the Better Business Bureau. We actually just recently ran a survey with 1,000 people, and we asked them what is the most valuable platform that they use to judge the credibility of somebody. Overwhelmingly, the Better Business Bureau won. All right. It wasn't even really close. It was like 70% chose the Better Business Bureau. After that, it was Google Business. That's the best for me. I don't really run a local business. I serve a national clientele. Okay. If you run a business where you're local, Yelp. Yelp is unbelievably persuasive. I know that, especially restaurants, right? If restaurants boost their star rating from 4 to 5, they see an increase of over 10% to their restaurant.
True. Now,
hugely important.
I want to talk. There's one particular listener I know out there that is very, very successful, and they have had the hardest time getting Yelp reviews. In fact, they even have, I think, 20. They call them unverified reviews. There, Brian. Where it's like they have a lot of people that have left reviews, but the reviews are sort of being held in the purgatory of review world by Yelp. How does somebody go out there and get objective reviews? What are the rules surrounding that as it relates to Yelp?
Number one, you have to ask, right? So everyone at my team, I incentivize them. I told you that, I value the reviews. I value them very highly. So I bonus my employees when they get a review. All right. That's an easy thing. After, they're done selling, I actually have the agents or my salespeople send an email to the customer saying that they're in a contest, right? They get bonused on reviews. We already have the theory of reciprocity going here, right? We delivered a great service, and we ask them something small in return. Overwhelmingly, they do it. I think really what you need to do is ask.
You have to ask. If you have not, because you ask not. Now, I'm going to get really passionate, and I would like for you, Brian, you can try to calm me down here.
Reel him in.
What Brian is saying is 100% true. And it absolutely could be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars for you. I'm not exaggerating. There's a roofer that I worked with a couple years back whose business, he was top in Google. We could help our Thrivetime show coaching program. We can get you to the top of organic search results. We can do that. We can help you run the best ads ever. But according to Forbes, 88% of people, Chuck, last year, according to Forbes,
that's right,
88% of people read reviews before buying or filling out a form.
And trust them more than the recommendation of friend or family.
88% of people
crazy.
Won't even fill out your form without reading reviews.
Right.
And then it upticked this year, and the new stat is 91%. Brian, help heal somebody out there. Heal them from the disease that's causing them to not ask for reviews.
Again, yeah, they're so valuable. And the other thing is, look, you can get reviews, right, on your own website, or you could have all these Yelp reviews or Google Business reviews. If they're on your website, they're not going to know about it, right? Make it very visible on your website. I put it on my checkout page. I put it on every page of my website. I build a beautiful image of the Better Business Bureau in Google and even my own testimonial page. I want them to click it, right? What we found is if people click it almost on every time they go to my website, it's a huge buying trigger, right? And we've also found, like you said, how persuasive it is. One of the last things customers do before they purchase something from you is they'll do a search on Google and they'll search your name followed by reviews or complaints. That's so huge, right? So if you have a Yelp listing, that usually comes up, number one or at least towards the top, then you got the sale.
That is so true. I want to pile on there. And one of the main reasons that if you're listening out there and you're worried about asking for those reviews, think about yourself. Be empathetic with that person, right? Only people that are upset typically leave reviews. And if you leave it up to that, you're going to have negative reviews all over Yelp, on Google, on everywhere. So you've got to ask those customers when they're happy. Like Brian said, you've got to ask them for that objective review.
Okay, Brian, here we go. We're getting into the really dark, evil part of the show here. And you can hang up if you don't like these questions.
Just click.
They're pretty intense here now. Our men's grooming lounge, Elephant in the Room. We have 604 reviews at our location in Tulsa. We have 3 in Tulsa, but one of them. But we have, it's a 4.9, which means we're not perfect. So I'm going into the reviews right now. Chup, I try not to do this very much just for my emotional state.
Yeah.
And I'm going to read the most recent ones, a couple of them here. I'm looking for a bad review, okay? We got Spencer gave us a good one. Spencer gave us a good one. Nathan gave us a good one. Jesse, we got a lot of good stuff. Van Hodges, thank you, Van. Nathan, Michael, Joshua. Okay, got my first negative one here. And the person said, terrible service, would never go back. So that I don't process English super well, Chuck. I sometimes need to look up the origin of words.
No, that means
but
they're
if someone
super
writes,
happy. Yeah,
terrible
great.
service, would never go back. How should somebody respond as a business owner? What should you do when someone leaves you a bad review on Google?
Well, one thing that you got to remember is you don't want to argue, okay? You don't want to try to have some kind of tit for tat or argument with somebody. So you simply reach out. You tell them, hey, please give us a call at this number. We'd love to, fix any issue that you might have had or fix the communication or whatever the deal was. So you want
Brian,
to
how would you advise we deal with it? A good solid complaint.
Well, first of all, I totally agree. No, do not react. Number one, do not. Don't get in a fight. People have just destroyed their businesses by doing that. The first thing I like to do is reach out to the customer. All right, I want them to take down the review. Number one. All right, so if there's a name on there, I'll call them. I'll offer them a credit. I'll find out what went wrong, see how I can make it right. If you call a customer and say, what can I do to make you happy? They'll answer you. And if you do, they'll take it down. A lot of times people put reviews on Yelp to get your attention. Right? It's an accountability factor. If there's a dispute, they can go online and they know how important those reviews are. Now, if you don't get them to take it down, that's where you can turn a negative review into a positive. If you respond in a way that says, look, this person had a bad experience, you could apologize, say, look, we do our best. We'd love to give you a credit, right? Or we'd love to give you something back. Anything of that sort, if you respond in a very nice way, that's really what the customers want. They want to know if something does go wrong that the company's going to offer to fix it. So, a negative review without a response is like a cockroach in the middle of a restaurant. If you respond correctly and nice, you can turn it into a positive. Because most people, they'll look at the negative reviews to find out how the company does respond.
Right. Well, I got another one here. Okay. No, because we have thousands of customers. We have thousands. Okay. So we've got a guy up here. He says here, this is what he says. This is a good one. He says, at first it was great. Good haircut, great environment. Then over the past year, it's really gone downhill quick. In a year, I've had 5 different stylists. There's no consistency. The turnover is outstanding. It's astounding. What's worse is blah, 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 blah. Now, our team, they have a way they respond, but I want to get your take on this. The team looked at his review history, and he leaves only negative reviews for people.
Right.
Everything is negative, and it's very negative. It's all very negative. This person, our team wrote, this is what they wrote. I'd like you to see what your thoughts are on the team's response.
All right.
Our team wrote, sir, they wrote his name, but he said, I'm sorry to hear that you feel that way. We'd love the opportunity to make it right. Mm-hmm. Regarding your account, I will gladly fix any errors included in your billing membership, and please give us a call. The person has not responded. What would you do then?
I don't think you need them to respond. I think you did it well. Make sure that, you apologize, number one. You understand where they're coming from. And I love that, offer them a credit. Say, we do our best to make customers happy. We'd love to give you, a free service to make it up to you. All right. I think that's all that needs to be done.
Okay. And I just want to, now emotionally, the amygdala. You're a guy who, I think to be successful in business over an extended period of time, you've had to learn a little bit of stoicism where, where you can embrace the negative. You can just accept the negative. And, it's a trade-off of doing a lot of things. So in our case, we have, thousands of customers in this business. I mean, thousands of customers per day at the business. How do you emotionally deal with the bad review? You get a bad review and someone says, I went on to Brian's website. I just want you to know he doesn't sell vacuums and he sucks. Oh. Do you emotionally carry it with you all night? Do you let it go? How do you now process that, Brian?
I think those negative reviews, they're going to get to anybody. All right. When somebody leaves me a bad review, it gets to me. It does. I don't know if I could stop it, but that's one of the things that will drive people to continue to offer the best service. So if somebody gives you a bad review and they say something bad, that's a great insight on what to fix.
Okay.
But yeah, luckily for me, I don't get very many reviews. And please know that I'm always willing to take a loss to get somebody to take it down. And my history is if somebody does give me a review, I'll make it up to them. I'll give them I'll take a loss. I'm willing to take up to a $500 loss.
Agreed.
To get somebody to take down a review.
Now, I want to ask you this. Yeah. This is big. This is big because I know for the haircut business, if we cut someone's hair, the average haircut's $42. We always will give you your haircut. We'll give you all your money back. We'll give you $42 back. Tell us about your current venture that you're on now, or maybe give us an example of, I'm not asking for a specific mistake you've made, but I mean, are you willing to refund up to thousands of dollars or a couple dozen dollars? Or how much money are you willing to refund to make it right?
I'm willing to go $500 if it's, it gets a little tough. Also, if you just respond well, you can turn that into a positive, right? My limit right now is $500. I don't want to bribe anybody for $1,000. I think sometimes if you talk to them and you say, what's fair, right? And that's really what they want. You want to make it up, make their time worth it, right? So if they say $1,000, you can say, look, the most I'm willing to do is, you can throw out a number, $200. I think that very rarely you're going to see people extort you. That's very bad karma for them.
You mentioned your newest venture. Is there a business that you've been involved in that you would encourage the listeners to check out so they can see the power of the reviews for that particular company or brand, or maybe like an example of either your own business or a case study of someone you've worked with that the listeners could go check out?
My business, TrueBlueLifeInsurance.com. I, try to make my reviews as visible as possible. The other thing is my competitors have terrible reviews. So insurance agents, they have a very bad stereotypical reputation. And if they check out the reviews of my competitors, they're going to find a lot of bad reviews. So I'm able to, get my company to stand, a level above my competition. And I'll have people call in saying, that's the reason why they chose to do business with us, all these great reviews. Now, I will say on my review system, which I think helps tremendously, I display them on my own website, but I say a lot about the product that was being reviewed, okay? So I'll give the date of the review, the name, the city that the person was in, the company of the insurance company policy that they bought, the plan. It could be, 20-year term. And then I'll say the agent that served them. So I'm giving them all the information so that they know that if they bought a similar product, they're going to have a similar experience.
Talk to me about the just the culture right now of how, because you saw it happen. You've been on one of the first people to market on the internet.
Yeah.
When did you see reviews beginning to shape the narrative and impact how people were buying? When did you first see that trend occurring?
I think Amazon kind of led the way. Their conversion rate, a while ago, I think it was up to 20%. And people go to Amazon to do their research now. It's one of the most popular search engines. So is Yelp. So is TripAdvisor. The power of the reviews. I think you guys said as well. Let's say a friend of yours recommends, an Asian restaurant, saying, "Oh, I love it," right? But then you go online and you look at the reviews and you see 10 negative reviews. The food was terrible. I got sick. Who are you going to believe? You're going to overwhelmingly believe the 10 reviews.
Let's say that somebody has negative reviews, the 10 negative reviews, and they're not actually from real customers, okay? Example, an elephant in the room. This is probably Chuck 3-4 weeks ago.
Yep.
We had a guy leave us a bad review, and I noticed that the only review he'd given is he gave us our competitor a good review. One of our call center reps pointed it out. And after doing research, we found out he's actually an owner of the competitor company.
Weird.
How can somebody go about getting a review removed from Google if it's nefarious, it's not true, if it's actually a competitor going after you, or someone who's never been a customer? Is there any procedure you would advise people to take to remove false reviews?
I know that you can report it, right? You can, send a request into Yelp and Google Business, but the overwhelmingly fact is you can't really get reviews down. I've seen people that, got a real negative review and they think that, well, I can just call Google or I can sue the person. All right. That's going to waste a lot of time and money. You basically can't get those reviews down. So I would just say respond to it, right? Let's say this is the owner of a competing store. And I think people are smarter than you give them credit for. I think that they can spot negative reviews.
Wait, Brian,
I'm sorry, spot reviews that aren't legitimate.
like false reviews or fake reviews.
Yes, false reviews.
Gotcha. We coach hundreds of clients, okay? And a lot of them, whenever we kind of explain this concept of getting reviews, they simply literally don't know what to say. So how do you, or maybe I should say, like, what exactly do you guys say when you ask for a review?
We basically say, look, a review really helps our company. I'm also, I get bonused on it, or it's a contest. My employees love sending text and emails, basically asking them. We give them great service. So, and give them the link, right? Just don't ask them for a blind review. Give them the absolute direct link to do it.
Make it easy.
All right.
There it is. Now, Brian, your new book here, The Salesman Who Doesn't Sell. If people are to pick up a copy of it, what can they expect to find within this book?
I'm teaching people actually to, kind of almost base their business on getting positive reviews. I think that if you do that, you're automatically going to have a business that's customer focused. All right. And you guys said something interesting. I'd like to say that I think it's like a moral responsibility for those businesses that give a tremendous service to customers to actually ask for those reviews so that those are the companies that succeed. All right. I hate it when I see companies that offer great service that don't ask for reviews and they're not getting the business. I like to see the good guys win.
Amen.
Now, you've been successful as a result of doing a lot of things the right way. Can you walk us through your daily routine? What do the first 4 hours of your day look like?
I start with coffee, gentlemen. I think a lot of people do.
Right.
I read news feeds. I try not to read too much of the news. I just go on a large scale, overhead view. I do USA Today. I meditate, gentlemen. I do transcendental meditation every morning.
Okay.
I think that gets my head a little clear. I'll go through email. I do like to read for about 20 minutes. I'm always reading, either personal development or business books. I think that's an important thing. Then, I can't say I work out every day. I try to. It depends. That's usually my mornings.
Now, what are one or two books that you'd recommend for all of our listeners?
One of the first books I recommend people read is The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. I think that's one of my favorite books, and it's a short book too. I think it's 100 pages.
4 Agreements.
The 4 Agreements.
What's it about?
Beautiful book.
What's it about?
It's about, how to live your life. So the 4 agreements, one is be impeccable with your word, right? So, and it kind of goes to, be careful what you say. Don't gossip, right? The second is don't take anything personal, right? If someone leaves a bad review, it doesn't really have anything to do with you. Something's going on with that person. The third is make no assumptions. Just, try to be clear with everybody. Make sure they know exactly what you want them to do. And the fourth, which is the most important, is always do your best. That's all you can do.
Okay. Now, what's one more book you'd recommend for all the listeners out there?
I loved Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. It always sticks in my head. The one thing he taught was to become an expert, you put in 10,000 hours in something, and that always stuck with me.
Brian, I appreciate you being on the show, and I love to, anytime we have a guest that's willing to take time out of their schedule to hop on the show and to educate our hundreds of thousands of listeners, I always like to be able to give you the final word as it relates to recommending that the listeners take a specific action or visit a website or buy a book. What's the action step you'd recommend that all of our listeners take?
I'd like to give my book for free to all your listeners. They can just go to brianjgreenberg.com/Thrivetime. And please feel free to download the book.
Awesome.
I hope it helps people.
Brian, I appreciate you so much for being on the show. We always like to end with a boom, which is essentially, Chubb, we say 3, 2, 1, and then a little boom. So, Brian, are you psychologically ready to give us a boom?
I'm ready.
Okay, Chubb, are you ready?
Let's do this, man.
Am I ready? I'm ready.
Ready?
Here we go.
3, 2, 1, boom!
In the game of life and in the game of business, there are both cowboys and idiots.
Well, I'll tell you what, I don't know who you're talking about, but let's go ahead and nip this in the butt right now.
Well, the first ample example now provided by you via sample was the phrase nip it in the butt. When you just said you wanted to nip it in the butt, it made me question many, many things, one of which was why would you want to nip something in the butt?
Well, I'll tell you this, brother, you just killed me 2 stones with 1 bird, man. Your tone ain't very nice, and you don't know what you're talking about.
I unfortunately now rest my case. To be a successful entrepreneur, we all know you have to be a cowboy, but you don't want to be an idiot.
Brother, you need to make a 360-degree life change. You sound so angry.
And according to Forbes, between 36 and 53% of all small business owners are going to be involved in at least one piece of litigation in any given year.
Well, brother, I'll tell you this. I look at that as positivity, because that ain't every business that's being sued. That's just 36%. So I rebuke your negativity.
And so despite his jackassery, my challenge that I pose for you is to take the 30-second test. Go to cowboysandidiots.com. Again, that's cowboysandidiots.com to make sure that you, your family, and your business is properly insured. In this litigious society that we're in, over 35% of small business owners will be sued this year. The good news is that includes everybody but you.
Brother, I already knew that. That's why I'm not going to cowboysandidiots.com.
Take the challenge and take the 30-second assessment at cowboysandidiots.com.